Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to get 60 frames per second on Red Dead Redemption 2 PC using an RTX 2070 card. You know that RTX 2070, although it's a high-end card, is not as good as a 2080 Ti, but if you, like me, have a 4K display and you would like to make a full use of the quality of the display, I will show you which settings to change in order to be able to do that. So here I am logged into Red Dead Redemption 2 and I go into settings and graphics. It doesn't display which graphics card I'm using, but yeah, it is an RTX 2070 as I told before. So as you see here, the resolution is set to 3840 into 2160, which is a 4K resolution, and I'm locking the refresh rate at 60 because 60 is good. And I turn on the VSync so I don't get any stutters, and I leave the triple buffering on as well. And if I go down below, this texture quality, I leave it at ultra because that basically is all of the quality in the game. I don't want to compromise on it for, if I'm going to reduce it any further, it's not going to look good even though it's a 4K resolution. And I'm going to set the anisotropic filtering at 16 times, and the lighting quality is high. The global illumination quality again plays a major role, so I'm going to leave it at ultra. The shadow quality is set to high. The far shadow quality doesn't matter much because you're not going to be able to see far away stuff much on a 4K resolution. And there's an important thing about 4K resolution is that it focuses mainly on the objects close to you, which means that your character, your horse, and all the trees close to where you are, they look really good on 4K usually, and you don't see the objects far away pretty much that much. So I'm going to leave this at medium, and then I set the reflection quality at medium as well because I don't care if the reflection is great or not. It still doesn't affect the game too much. And the water quality is set to high, and the volumetrics is set to high. Particle quantity I set to medium because I don't really care if the snowflakes look so real, because in places where you have a lot of particles, it's not much in the game as far as I know. And the tessellation quality is set to high. You notice that I'm not setting any of these at ultra because I know that my 2070 is not going to be able to handle everything at ultra in 4K. If you're talking about 1080p resolution, then yes, you can just put all of them to ultra. Just don't care about anything. Everything can be set to ultra. And I'm also setting the TAA also, although they recommend that you don't need to turn on anti-aliasing in 4K. Except for MSAA, I still prefer having the FXAA on, and also the TAA is in medium because I tested it and it works fine. There are no issues with the graphics. And from my experience, the DirectX 12 works best. The Vulkan does run okay, no problems with that, but I think the DirectX does a good job in it. And then you have the volumetric resolutions all set to high again, and down below the grass shadows is something that I again don't care much. If you notice in any of the games, if there is an option to change the grass graphics, I would ask you to set it a little lower than your graphics card can handle it. The reason is that the grasses are many in the games and you don't really see each of the grass, but still the graphics card tries to really show all the grasses individually and animate them. So it poses a lot of pressure on your graphics card. And talking about shadows of the grass, I really don't care about it. So I set it to low. I set the long shadows to on because it looks nice. The shadows look nice and they are longer. And the water quality is also set to high. And here's something that I've done. You have an option called a resolution scale in RDR2. It's actually a pretty slick feature if you ask me. And the thing is, although you have set the game to 4K resolution, there's actually an option where it allows you to either run it on full 4K or it reduces it by half, which means that it's half of 4K, not 1080p, but half of 4K, but it doubles the resolution when it shows on the display. And then you can change it all the way to, like, I don't know, even 29 or 30th, which means that ideally the game is being rendered at two-thirds of 4K, which is 0.66% 4K, and then it scales it up to 4K, making the game look like 4K, but it's actually not. This is the main key for you to get 60 frames per second seamlessly on a 4K resolution. And when I say 60, it doesn't drop below 58 in any scene at all, which means that you don't feel like the game is stuttering or anything. All right. Then I set the motion blur to off. I'm not a big fan of motion blur. And I don't want to anti-alias the reflections. I don't want to anti-alias the game. Who would want to anti-alias the reflections? And then again, I set the grass level of detail to half. Like I said earlier, I don't care much about grass quality, but then it puts a lot of pressure, a lot of load on your GPU. But I set the tree quality to high, decals to high, fur to high, and so on. Okay, now that's all the settings. And I usually run this game in HDR mode, but apparently I'm not able to record the video if I set the HDR to on. So, and either ways, it's not going to record the game in HDR. So let's test the game out. Again, before I start testing it, all right, let's just get right into it. So I'm going to run the benchmark test right now, and let's hope it goes well. The only thing that I'm concerned about is that I'm recording the gameplay right now, and I'm using the GeForce application to record the game. I'm not sure if that's going to reduce any frames or something while recording, but if it does, I will post a screenshot of the frames that I'm getting when I'm not recording the screen if it changes. And one more tip for you guys is that when you install the latest driver for RDR, make sure you use a display driver uninstaller and uninstall your old GPU drivers properly. That made a whole lot of difference for me. When I just updated my graphics driver, it didn't change. It had a bad impact actually. My game kept crashing. I was not able to go online. I was not able to do a lot of things. And when I did a complete uninstallation of my old graphics drivers and reinstalled a fresh one, the game runs perfectly well. So the driver plays a lot of role in your game. So what you're seeing right now is the benchmark running at the settings that we set. It is 4K scaled at 2/3, and the major settings are set at ultra. The other settings are set at high or medium. And I don't know if you can see it in the video, but it's actually quite smooth. I don't see any jitters or something. And of course, there's a bug in the benchmark. I don't know if you guys know about it. There's a bug that drops the frames to about 8 FPS or something in just one scene. So at the end of the test, you might notice that one of the minimum frame rate or the minimum FPS was 8. Just ignore that. That's a bug in the benchmark. And what you have to see is the average and high frames that are reaching. And talking about the game a little bit, I think it's quite good. The game's brilliantly done, and I'm surprised how they ported it on a PC so soon and so nicely. Of course, it has some bugs, and they're trying to fix some patches. I think they've already released a 3 gigahertz, sorry, my bad, a 3 gigabyte patch for the game, and nVidia is trying to release latest drivers as well.
Well then,
I like the game a lot.
that's what they're saying. Yep.
I hope that the music of the game is also being recorded. If not, I again apologize. I don't think I can reshoot the whole video again for that. Sorry. Another fun fact, if this game video recording that I'm doing right now goes on YouTube, it'll probably be my first ever YouTube video. That's interesting. I really hope I put it on YouTube and you guys get a chance to see it. And also the reason I wanted to make this video is that whenever a game releases, I have a tough time trying to change the settings of the game. I try to find the perfect balance, right? I have a GPU. I mean, I earlier had a 1060. Now I have a RTX 2070. I want to be I want to be able to get the max out of my game where I'm not straining my GPU as well. And I always search for some settings online, and I did the same with RDR, and I was not able to find any settings on the internet, so I decided to make my own video. And
In the name of the law. That's an order. The law. Stop looking. Get after him.
it's strange. The last time I saw this video, it was really strange actually. I was able to see the blast and everything. Now the camera angle has changed. I'm not sure if it's so there's supposed to be a blast there. So if you have a graphics card, let's say 2060 for instance, or 1660, or even a 1060 for that matter, you can just proportionally reduce all the settings. Let's say that you have a 1060 and of course you cannot play on 4K. On a 1080p resolution, it's going to do good. But if you, let's say, have a 2060, you can just proportionally reduce the quality settings that I just showed you. Yeah, as you see here, the max FPS is 62. The minimum is 20. But like I said, it's a bug. You will never see a 20 FPS resolution in the game. And the average resolution is 56. Not bad, right? I mean, it's not a crazy card like the 2080 Ti. It's not even a 2080. It's not a 2070 Super. It's just plain 2070, and it's able to run the game at 60 FPS in 4K. Not bad for a game. So like I said, just scale up, scale down the resolution a bit. Don't trust the GeForce experience. It of course does justice to some games, but then some of the other games are not properly optimized on a GeForce